Right. Here we are again. And again, I appreciate you for taking the time, giving your attention here, listening to what I have to share. It means a lot to me. And I hope that today things make sense because I haven't really had my ideas fully formed around this thought that I want to share. Which is fine, but I just wanted to apologize up front just because things might feel a little broken, like I'm rambling a little bit, but hey, I'm still here, still a good outlet for this kind of stuff. So what I wanted to share was a realization that I had fairly recently regarding, we'll just call it, my personal journey, of course, on self-mastery or self-development, that kind of blanket statement. I kind of like self-mastery. It's kind of elegant way of saying it. And when I first was on the journey, I first started, obviously there's a lot of questions, where do I start? What do I believe? What are my current beliefs? What beliefs do I need to get rid of? What are other people's beliefs that I need to not worry about? What are other people's beliefs that I need to respect? Those kinds of things, and then what does that journey even look like from a goal setting perspective? And of course, there's really no definite end in sight, because the definite end is death, and we haven't got there yet. So blessed for that, grateful for that. And one of the questions that had come up as the journey continued early on was, am I crazy for having these kinds of things revealed to me? As I went on and I practiced and I saw results and things like that, and I was hearing certain words and phrases and concepts, and things started to make sense. That's what I asked myself. I'm like, man, am I crazy for, getting these kinds of stuff revealed to me? And as I went on and I did see results and I did find people, and those people, validated my experiences, my question shifted from, am I crazy, to, is everyone else crazy that they haven't had these kinds of things be revealed to them yet? Because you start to realize and see evidence of the amount of people that are just kind of drifting along in their life, and they fail to understand who they are, why they do things, how they do those things, and how their behavior impacts others. Their relationship with themselves and their relationship with others, things like that. They fail to realize that we are all intertwined. There's a cause and effect for everything. There are no coincidences, and there's really no intention, for these people that are just kind of drifting along. And you start to see these things, which also makes you question, am I crazy? But like I said, it shifted from, am I crazy, to, are other people crazy, for not being able to discover these things? And that's fine. I'm not saying that those kinds of people are bad people. They just haven't made the decision yet. And it's a very less trodden road. There's not a lot of people on the path for self-mastery, as we're kind of calling it here. And since there's not a lot of people on that journey, there's a smaller pool of people that you can actually talk to and learn from and grow with. And I was having kind of trouble thinking about a metaphor to relate all this to, and the only thing that really kind of comes to mind is in the sports world, where you dedicate your life to becoming the champion of the world. Let's just say the Super Bowl, for instance. And there's a definite amount of immersion that goes on and dedication that goes on to becoming that person, to becoming that champion, to the point where people don't understand you and people will question you and say negative things about you because they haven't made that choice for themselves, so they don't understand why somebody else would go through that. Or they're just jealous, which is fine. But, you know, somebody like Patrick Mahomes, he's the Super Bowl champion. Tom Brady, somebody like that. And these people can only share that experience with a small handful of people on that team. And those are the only people that understand it, because they've also made that choice to become champions of the world. And so, you know, you can see kind of how that metaphor paints the picture of the dedication and the road that it takes and the time that it takes. Because, you know, just because you are a Super Bowl champion one time doesn't mean you give up. You know, Patrick Mahomes is only in his 20s. Tom Brady was only in his 20s and 30s, and he still wanted more. You know, it's a never-ending journey of discovery and defining boundaries, pushing past them, creating more, creating a life that you never would have dreamed if you hadn't made the decision to discover things and uncover things that make you the master of yourself, I guess. And I finally started to, at some point, you know, just over the past year or so, I finally started to understand words that people were using and concepts that people were talking about when it comes to the blanket statement of self-mastery, right? And that kind of pertains to the three pillars, right? Your mind, body, and spirit. And so, you know, I'm not just talking about meditation or breath work, things like that. I'm very much talking about your mindset, and of course your spirituality, but also your physical body as well. Doing what it takes to keep your body healthy in order to sustain longevity in this body that we have been given over the course of the time that we're on this planet. And so taking care of all three of these pillars, and there's other ways that people define these pillars, you know, sometimes people use 4 pillars or 5 pillars, but traditionally it's mind, body, and spirit. And that's the core of the self-mastery. And so as I was able to understand these terms and concepts surrounding these 3 pillars, that's when I was kind of like, okay, there is truth here. And it really only whet my appetite for what else is possible for me and my relationships, not just intimate relationships, but my everyday relationships, you know, with my friends and my family and, you know, my colleagues and things like that. You know, how does the things that I do for myself impact them? And how am I showing up for myself and then also the world? So as I started seeing results, you know, the more curious I'm getting, and the more questions I am having, and hopefully the more answers I will get in order to continue on. So that's kind of what I wanted to share, was just that thought of when I first started lots and lots of questions and doubt. Doubt was even there. And I just kept going. You know, I trusted my gut, which is an important thing to do when the self-mastery journey has begun, because you don't really know where to start. There's plenty of books, plenty of teachers, and quote-unquote gurus and stuff like that that can help guide you. You just kind of have to trust your gut and take the chances and learn. And if you don't feel it's right for you, then you go another direction. So that's what I did, and I tried to get those questions answered, and I looked in certain places. Some places worked out, some places didn't. And eventually I got to a point where I was comfortable with the progress I made, and I knew the direction I wanted to go. And that's kind of how it goes. Same thing maybe with sports, right? You want to become the champion, you're not sure who's the right coaches to help you, and the nutritionists or, you know, weight training coaches and things like that. And you just have to experiment. You know, you talk to people, you get recommendations, and eventually the right people come to you because you set the intention of to accomplish this certain thing, and those people show up, which is part of the belief. And it all happens for a reason, man. So if you're on that journey, keep going. If you haven't started yet, a great book to start would be Deepak Chopra's book called Living in the Light. And that book actually takes from ancient concepts of royal yoga, not the physical movement, and there is physical movement incorporated, of course, you know, what the Western world would consider yoga. However, the book talks a lot more about the spiritual part of yoga, and it's just a very good book. It gives you a very good starting point. So, but that's kind of all I wanted to share. I appreciate you using your energy and your time to help me create the moment, and I hope you have a beautiful day.